Yo, what's up, easy goers? Welcome to the Easy Channel. Yo, so we are reviewing today Far Cry 6. So this game, in my opinion, is top notch, top tier. Now, here's coming from somebody who's a novice Far Cry player. But at the same time, I play games like Cyberpunk, Elder Scrolls. I've played first-person games that are very similar to the Far Cry series. Now, in my opinion, overall, we're gonna go down the reasons why this game is great and the things that you may dislike at the same time. Now, of course, leave a comment by all means to let me know what you think about the game and what were your favorite parts to it. And if you believe that it is an easy buy or easy pass, you guys let me know. So, first of all, the cinematics. This game, oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. From the sound effects of you hearing your feet crunching under grass, to you swimming in water, to watching water splash up against rocks, to watching seagulls just dive in the water to get food, wolves in the woods, you've got badgers, you got all types, you got jaguars, deer, eagles, you name it, there's probably in this game. I mean, I haven't seen an elephant or anything, but I'm just saying. But this game is top tier. But of course, I'm kind of cheating. I am playing on a new gen console, the Xbox Series X, and I'm pretty sure those people playing on PS5 or upgraded PCs are probably going to agree with me. This game is definitely showing the graphical power that it has available. You know, I'm playing on a 4K, TV, the whole nine. This thing is just stunning. NPCs are amazing. They all interact with you as you walk by and make comments based off of what you're wearing, based off of what your Negos are doing, based off of the scenarios that are going on currently in the game, which begs the difference. If you're going to play multiplayer, which this game does have, it does have two-player multiplayer, that you got to be careful that if you pass by, if you're not playing at the same point as someone else and you're just trying to help out in a mission, that a NPC will spoil something for you if you decide to walk by. So overall, we're talking about a gorgeous game with the ability to pretty much do almost anything you want. It has destructible environments, minus the fact you can't blow open a building like Battlefield, but at the same time, it does have the ability to blow up vehicles, environmental damage, trees, things catch fire, and it will burn down an entire bungalow or house. This is set in South America, Yara, which is somewhere in the Caribbean, which is not a real country, but it does have real characters in it. It has real actors who are really stunning and amazing in it. And he even has Mr. Despacito in him himself. He is an amazing addition to the game. Great antagonist, along with the story. But I'm not going to try to spoil too much in this review. So this is a spoil-free review, minus what's going to happen in the very beginning of the game and what you've probably already seen from most trailers. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is amazing. You have several options. Your decisions matter when it comes to endgame. Now, when I say decision, I'm not saying it's Cyberpunk level decision making where you have 7 different endings based off of your decisions, but you do have multiple endings based off of whether you decide to do the full game. If you decide to do all the side missions and get into everybody's story, or you decide to just do the story of Yara, you pretty much are going to affect the endgame. You could even, at the same time, not even do the end game itself. You can ride in the boat and just leave. Or you could even go straight to the ending and decide to do what you need to do, which is stop the tyrannical regime, which is most Far Cry games, which is you're trying to up in some sort of tyrannical reign or be some sort of hero. But then at the same time, these characters, as the game develops, like Mr. Castillo, who is the main antagonist, start to help you develop what turns out to be a excellent character development, because in cutscenes, as you begin to do each person's story, you will find out why this person is so passionate in trying to make Yara a top tier country. Found a element inside of a tobacco leaf that has the ability to slow cancer, and now they're trying to sell it to the rest of the world. So what you're going to watch is you're pretty much watching what happened to like Assyria, what happened to a Haiti, a Dominican Republic, these, Puerto Rico, these places that were lush, great countries before they got interceded with other countries. This one's going to have Canada in it. So if you're Canadian, please don't be offended. They actually try to make a nice name for you while they tear down your country at the same time. But this game has turned out to be an overall A+ in my book because of the gameplay, between the gunfire, the realistic feel of driving these vehicles, and the ability to ride horses, and your amigos. Your amigos, they're amazing additions to the game, but at times you forget they're there unless you're trying to get specialized weapons, or you're trying to do things stealthily, or you're just trying to have kind of a human sonar, which is one of the actual amigos. I'm not going to tell you which because I want you to play the game and figure it out for yourself. Some are absolutely useless and get in the way. I leave it there. Some are useless and they get in the way. By useless, I mean like you're probably not going to use them unless you're in certain situations, but at the same time, they are helpful if you decide to go out and use your amigos. So this game has all the aspects between treasure hunting that you can go out. The gameplay, you have F&D bases that you can raid and get cool perks and gunpowders to upgrade your weapons. They have some that actually give you new guns and new abilities and new apparel. The apparel is all customizable, meaning that you can wear the apparel, and you have several different versions of pants that do several different things: shirts, hats, shoes, the whole nine. Even your car is customizable. There are different hot spots when they will identify those with red zones in your mini map or in your map period. They'll be outlined in red. If you're in there, you're automatically detected, and they will start sometimes shoot on sight, and sometimes they'll warn you before you have to leave. Other times, if you're just in a general area and you walk by a soldier, they will just kind of breezily walk by you and be like, especially if you have your gun holstered. If you have your gun out, they will notice you, tell you to put it away, and then usually let you leave. But if you just sit there long enough, they will get suspicious of you and then start shooting. Now, the great thing is the NPCs, if you're just out and about, there are rebel forces and they're the actual governmental forces just walking around in the game. So if you walk into an area and they bump into each other, it's on. They're going to start shooting. They may even ask for helicopters come by, tanks come by, and you may get wrapped up in it even if you don't have your gun out. There are different aspects to this game. Like you have the aspect of going up to some soldiers that have an exclamation point over top of their head, and you can ask them for information and they will freely give it to you, but you have to pay for it. It comes at a price. Other times, you can get this information from your fellow soldiers who are walking around blue trails, which are the rebel trails, which usually you will not see any enemy forces on because they know that your Yara forces are there, or actually Libertad forces. Now, the great thing about the story is that this leads us to the story. This is actually where you start to realize that when you're doing the story mode, you don't have to go through the whole thing, but if you do, you're going to realize great stories in between with extra characters, or character arcs that really matter to the end game, and that will help you make decisions when it comes down to actually doing the story, because there are sometimes you're going to run into a bad guy who's going to turn and try to do something nice. You do not need to keep them alive. You can shoot and kill everybody in this game. That includes the main characters. You could just go ahead and decide, I'm going to pop a gun out, bop, 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 game over. But that does make your mission fail. Once the mission fails, then you cannot go back and fix it. It will not restart the game. It's not like a Legend of Zelda or something where the game will restart. You will just instantaneously continue on going. And then people will start responding to you in turn. They're going to be like, oh my God, this happened, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to tell you because I'm, again, trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. Now, as we continue on, you're playing as the character Danny. Danny is a non-combative character. She's a former military recruit. She wasn't in the military that long, and she claims that she punched her superior officer in the throat, and that's what got her kicked out of the Yara forces. And now she is out on the town with two of her friends, and then all of a sudden, bang! The government Castillo, the El Presidente, who was voted into office similar to Hitler and every other tyrannical presidential regime or dictatorship. And then he's starting to go into homes and getting rid of rebel forces. People who post things on Facebook, people who post things on social media, people who post signs, or just say something to your cousin. They find out, they pull you out your house, and they end up shooting you. So you try to escape. You and your friends try to escape. I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but then eventually you meet his son, who is also a character in the story, who has his own character arc at the same time, and you will interact with him at some point, and that will lead you to endgame. These characters are all deep in their own ways. They have great storylines. They have great interactions with each other, and they're funny. They're dull. They're mean. They're nice characters. And they all have perks. And they all give you things at the end of their storyline, and then they all matter. the multiplayer. The multiplayer is probably one of the funnest aspects of the game. By one of the funnest aspects, I mean it's just fun to have somebody else there to experience the story with you, even though they're not going to be in most cutscenes. If it's a semi-cutscene, meaning that you can look around while the cutscene is going on, like you're riding on a boat or something like that, you can look around. The person will be there with you in a different seat. They won't be in the main seat because that is your seat. If it is if you are playing your game, if they're playing their game, they're in the main seat. But at the same time, it is glitchy. Here's the problem. If you're playing multiplayer and you pause if you're playing solo and you pause the game will freeze the entire world. And since there's no load screens, that means that's a large scope and scape of people and things that are currently moving around. Birds, animals in the forest, people walking around, missions currently going on, cars driving on the streets, such and such and such, people fighting, explosions that are currently going on are currently frozen. The hard thing is that if somebody jumps into your game while you're frozen, that means everything has to unfreeze. And it especially gets wonky when you have somebody who's in a last-gen console or unupdated PC and you have a next-gen console person who jumps in, because then the graphical power needs to be bumped up. Everything needs to be ramped up to 100, especially if you get 120 refresh rate on your TV screen. Now everything's going to be a little glitchy. Some things get frozen in the sky. Your partner won't be available to see. Sometimes you'll be stuck. Your gun can't come out. You can't move. Your amigo disappears and you have to resummon them 2 or 3 times. This commonly happens when you're playing with a last gen to next gen relationship. And understand, as you're traversing through this massive map, I'm talking about a massive map that you cannot run. Sometimes you have to get in a boat. Sometimes you have to get on a plane. It's thousands of meters away. There, I think the furthest you can go is up to 3,000 to 5,000 meters away before you reach the end of the map. Now you understand that there's no load screens. The only time there's really a load screen is when there's in between cutscenes or you're actually fast traveling or airdropping into a location. The issue with that now is that you've got somebody on a next-gen console who has much more graphical power than you, so your game console may start glitching. But that's okay. The gameplay isn't totally ruined by it. You just need to make sure they're in a peaceful area so that when they load in, the game can actually handle the transition and then start up appropriately, and make sure they're not paused, because it does have to start everything and you may have to jump out and jump back in. Overall, this game is fantastic from beginning to end, from effects to character development to firefights. You can choose between going stealthy, not stealthy, updating, customizing weapons by adding silencers and non-silencers, fire perks, poison perks, additional sights, side sights to some guns. It makes you feel like you're in Call of Duty sometimes and feel like you're in somebody's backyard the next when you're shooting a bow and arrow. This game has, in my opinion, it all. Now, of course, I would love to have some sort of decisional power, or which you kind of do, but they never really let you know that you do until you kind of listen to what they're saying. But at the same time, it is amazing. Your character doesn't have any relationships that get in the way of the storyline. The story is just really, you're just dealing with tyranny and you're trying to oppose it, and you're trying to make conscious decisions on whether you should or you should not. I would say this game is easy must buy in my opinion. So if you haven't picked up this game and you haven't actually you touched it at all, and you've stayed away from the Far Cry series, but you're a fan of Cyberpunk or Elder Scrolls or a somewhat first-person mode game like that, Metro Last Dying Light, things like that, I would say this is the game for you. Please pick it up. And this is easy, letting you know right now, 100% guaranteed easy buy. I appreciate you guys for checking me out. Please leave a comment. Let me know how your experience was for the game. Leave a like, a follow. I appreciate you guys for watching my first review. The new channel, the Easy channel, is now reviewing games, and make sure that you guys have the same experience as I am. As always, you guys keep it easy.